Hello, and welcome to another episode of AWS Tech Tales. I'm your host, Matt Burke.
And I am your co-host, Samara Reaño. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back. Samara, we're switched today. I
I
realize.
know.
I'm usually on the left, Samara's
I
usually on the
know. I
right.
was about to be like, I'm in the wrong side of things today.
We can fix it. Hold on, ready?
There you go.
Welcome everyone. This is AWS Tech Tales. This is the show where we talk about real life customer issues, what you can do to solve them. And today we're continuing on our journey through unified operations and the topics associated with them. And last week, what did we talk about last week, Samara?
Oh, what did we talk about last week? Observability.
Yes. So last week we talked a bit about full stack observability, what you would need to do to instrument your applications to get better troubleshooting. We talked a little bit about how AI could help with that with CloudWatch investigations. And today we're continuing that trend a bit about how can you better troubleshoot? How can AI help you with that troubleshooting? Oh, Erie Edits, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well,
Welcome, Erie.
I know a lot of people on the East Coast are having a snow day today, so we might not get some of our normal viewership. So I'm excited that Erie's here. If you're tuning in from Twitch, YouTube, let us know. Say hi in the comments. And so we're talking a little bit about observability. Samara, I keep putting you on the spot. What's one thing that you found exciting about what we talked about last week?
I just feel that it's observability is one of those things that, for example, with CloudWatch, like that you have it, but sometimes you don't really think exactly how it can play out in a moment where you have to find a root cause. Let's say you're in a production type of incident, that it becomes a lot more harder to kind of identify those things. I feel that when we talk about how you can kind of stream the process into a way that it can help you, not work against you in a time of need, it's always a good opportunity to remind people how to best leverage our services. So that's one thing that I always appreciate of us talking about it in this setting.
Yeah, and what I really liked is we had a lot of folks in the chat helping us
Yes.
with our troubleshooting slash like testing the waters of our observability. And so we're going to continue that thread. Like what we were talking about last week, we're continuing it this week. Is we're talking about ways that AWS can help you with your operations, and part of that big piece of it is we have new support plans at unified operations. And so today we're going to be covering, like, from this top level overview. We have two of the most senior awesome technologists in AWS to help us with that. So I'm going to welcome them to the screen. We've got Sarb and Tipu. Folks, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Give us a little bit of an introduction. Let us know a little bit about yourself for the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I'll start and then I'll let Tipu talk. Tipu does have more tenure than me in AWS, so he's definitely smarter than I am from AWS lens. My name is Saurabh. I've been here about 12 years and 6 months, so a long time. And one thing I'm proud to say is that I've been in support org throughout AWS support, and of course, meaning of that has changed over the last 12 years. What customers expect of us and what we do for customers. But in today's session, I think I look forward to sharing some of the mental models and mindset we have had over the last decade on how we can help customers more. Also, what customers expect of us and expect from us have changed, and what I have observed over the last 10 years as well, and how we came about launching I want to say brand new 3 tiers. I know we kind of changed some of them and launched some new things, but we'll do a deeper dive as well. And before I hand off to Tipu, we'll also give our viewers a view and a look into how we at AWS support is using AI. Everybody kind of says, you're at AWS, you're at forefront of all of these technology innovation happening. So I want to give viewers a look into what are we doing with AI in AWS support. We definitely get millions of transactions every day, every month that we process on our customers' behalf, support cases, problems, large-scale events. how we use AI to simplify our lives. And but Tipu, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Saurabh. I've been an engineer in AWS support for about 14 years, and it's been just a fantastic journey working with customers on mission critical issues, designing our software systems, and then about 3 months back, I joined the Agentic AI org to work on AI agents, especially in this operational space.
That's awesome. And then we're really excited to talk a little bit more about that later in our series too, to cover some of those new features as well.
Yep.
With such long, like tenure, such great. So part of the reason why we had both of you on is that you guys did a talk at reInvent. I hear it's one of the most popular sessions on YouTube right now, which we will drop in the chat in a little bit. But yeah, we wanted to talk a bit more and share with the audience like some of the thought leadership you guys were having around this space.
Absolutely. Tipu, how long have you been in AWS? 14 years, right? You said 14?
Yeah, a little over that.
So that's the amount of time it will take to get away from support. I get it. I'm at 12 and a half. I'm still about 18 months, but you know what they say, right? You can get out of support, but you can't get support out of yourself. I'm actually excited to be here. By the way, I've spent a lot of time talking to customers over the years, just learning, what can we do differently for our customers, and how can we support them better. And I think this is one of the modalities that I have not engaged in. And happy to be here, meet with the audience, answer any questions in the chat, but also kind of get that momentum going. If you have both of our emails will be in the end. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us afterwards or even to the host of the show. So thank you for inviting us as well. So as Matt was saying, I'm hoping my screen is available.
I'll bring it right up.
Cool, thank you. We did a reInvent talk, session ID SPS315. You can search on YouTube. I think we'll post a link as well.
It's in the chat, yeah. Yeah, so if folks are interested, want to bookmark it for later, please do.
The reInvent talk we did was alongside our customers as well. All of our reInvent talks about how we deliver for customers. This is a little bit of a separate version for that to give you kind of under the view of how we use technology and what we have done. I want to start with this screen. If you can tell me if you're live with us on the chat, if you remember what this is. That goes for both you, Matt, and Zamala as well. If you guys can remember what this is.
Erie edits. Is this too far back for you or for our viewers?
So
it seems. Now go ahead. I was just going to say, I'll go from what it says on the top, discussion forums.
So this used to be what AWS forums was, and it kind of became, later we converted that to Repost, which is live now, and folks communicate with us on Repost and leave questions and feedback. But back when we kicked off AWS, I want to say, mid 2000s, when S3, EC2 came about and all, this used to be the support mode, if you will, right? Back in the early days, AWS was positioned towards developers, and developers would leave their questions here, and we would provide them support. Our product managers will literally sit here, and people can correct me, but I think Matt Garman also handled some queries through AWS forums, answering back to customers. So, if you want to be a CEO of a large company, start with support. That's the path.
And the comments are saying this is like Netscape days.
Very well. Good catch there. But I think we have a lot of stories about forums. We should do a separate session on that. But this thing worked when we launched AWS. The type of interactions we were getting, the type of issues we had. If I put this today as a support mode for any company, it's not going to work. Customers have evolved over the years, how they consume AWS, how they consume the cloud. All of that has changed. So what I hear often from customers, and I would love to see if the live audience kind of resonates with some of these as well, is they don't like learning or hearing or talking to us about issues. They want to understand the outcomes. What are the things they want to deploy in AWS, and how they do get closer to their outcomes? Definitely, they want the issue resolved as quickly as possible. So either don't have it, or if I have it, just resolve it for me as soon as possible. But as the landscape on AWS and cloud platform increases, managing some of the issues is very, very complex and very, very hard. And the reason I'm focusing all of this is we hear this from customers, but we also want to know the customers want us to be aware of their workloads. They don't want to repeat repeatedly inform us, oh, here's my architecture, here's a PDF of my architecture, here's my load balancer that talks to these services. They want us to be aware of them, and they want us to be aware of which industry they operate in. Are they financial services, or are they in the energy industry? They want us to be a little bit contextual about what they do, so that when they contact us, they don't feel like they're talking to a stranger. They just feel like that they're talking to one of the extensions of their own team. They also tell us a lot that they want integrations, they want extensibility. If they operate in a tool, they want support to be available there. They don't want to lose the modalities that they operate in just to engage with AWS support. And last but not least, a lot of our customers have their end customers that rely on their services. We have large ISVs that provide AI, ML, or data analytics services to further downstream customers. And they are looking at us and saying, when AWS has anything that I'm impacted with, I want to be able to support my end customer. So, for you, I might be one number on a spreadsheet, but I have 100, 200 customers behind me. So understand that when you think of impact and you think of scale, right? Um, would be curious if anybody puts something else in the chat about, like, what are the other things that we are not hearing? Me and Tipu are kind of the soundboard. We take it back to the leadership. We make meaningful changes in AWS across services to make sure that customer voice is always heard. But when we hear all of that, about last year, our org, my org, AWS support, me and Tipu, we took a goal that we want to make customers' cloud operation effortless. Now, we didn't go with a big charter of, oh, let's have a 2 paragraph of our vision, or we want to keep it very simple. We want to keep it very, very customer focused. We want to make your cloud operations effortless. And what that means is that any action we take, any service that we build, any support product offering we build has to yield to this outcome. And that's what we have done with our recent support portfolio that we have designed with our reimagining how we do support. And we always, in Amazon, we do a lot of experimentation. We have to, the scale that we are in. I always say that there's, if you're thinking of building a service in Amazon, somebody 3 weeks ago already built it. And that is just the scale that we operate at, where everybody is encouraged and motivated to build, to prove, to a POC on behalf of the customer. And but when you think of doing it for the customers at an enterprise scale, that's where it becomes very, very hard. How are you listening to the right problems? Are you doing it where your enterprise can use it, right? Are you targeting the customers of all scale? Because now I'm not just targeting developers, I'm targeting large financial stock exchange. I'm targeting companies that are delivering oil and gas to the entire United States and abroad. I'm targeting companies that are responsible for running flights across the globe, right? So at that scale, our experiments have to have a continuous momentum and a continuous value that we generate. Now, before we dig into specifics of how we have taken this and reimagined our support offerings, I want to tell our viewers, how are we using AI to actually make some of this possible and give some historical context about support itself. So I'll invite people to go over some of the next few content, dive into specific services and components that we have built in the last year and a half. Now, AI is not new to us. We've been using it. Amazon has been using it for decades. But with invent of generative AI and how the innovation in that space has happened in and outside Amazon, we have been able to take advantage of it with both hands and deliver things for our customers. So I'll have Tipu kind of go through some of these, and then I'll come back and talk specifically about how we have imagined our support plans.
Hey, thanks, Saurabh. I've been very lucky. We worked with Saurabh for so many years, and we had just a few AWS services when I started, and it really scaled up. Having this front row seat at how our customers interacted and needed more, and we built more for them, was just fantastic. However, this required certain systems of scale to cope with, both human systems and different software and AI systems, as Saurabh was alluding to. So currently, we get millions of support cases a year across the many hundreds of services that we have, and across the third parties that we support. So the interesting call out though is that so many of these issues are not, or so many of these cases are not about, active open issues that need to be solved ASAP. It's actually more consultative about building on AWS the right way, or about how to do something with the best possible outcome. So I'll talk a little bit now about what it actually takes in terms of AI. What do you think, Saurabh?
Sorry, Tipu. I missed that last part.
No worries. I think we're just getting deeper into the next part of the talk, which is going, beyond the scale of support, how we actually build, what we actually did. Yeah. So this is just depicting sort of our journey, right? As I mentioned, when AWS support started, we was just a few services, and we only had a few sites. We only had to support, in English. We had just launched Japanese, and since then we grew significantly. We realized, based on what we heard from customers, that they needed proactive support, and so from migrations to specialized industry-specific support, because it really changes. Customers have told us so many times that they want personalized support to make sure that we meet their needs and do it as comprehensively as possible. And so that led to some of these things we built.
I think that personalized is the key here. Like, I think everybody expects AI to be, you got to be more closer to the human. And I think at some points we expect AI to be more than a human. You would expect AI to be more pleasing, more personalized than you expect a human to be. And I think that's where our jobs gets more and more harder. So as we go through, I think we're going to share how we use Gen AI, but people, let's talk about like efficiency, right? So if you look at on this slide that you see here, like for ages we have been doing problem prevention, right? We have been looking, if in customer submits cases, we've been looking at, oh, these are the chronic problems. The customers are talking about this case problem a lot. But then if we remove that problem, then yes, those if we solve that problem, those cases will go away. But can you talk a little bit about like with AI and the methodologies we have used with our support engineers? How have we been able to detect some of those problems faster, implement changes faster, leading to a better customer experience, and leading to a faster response time, overall improving efficiency?
Absolutely, Saurabh. And I think so many of these lessons apply to customer service as a whole. Because what happens is quite often we'll see trends of problems, trajectories essentially of what is becoming a hot topic, and then we can address that heads on. And what we did initially is that we used techniques like topic modeling to extract the key problems that were occurring and the way a lot of customers talked about it. This was a really critical piece because then we could really create very targeted automations and knowledge to address the problem. And then these were surfaced to customers in the form of like SSM automations, now what is known as Repost Knowledge Center, and through our support center and smart recommendations. But the bigger thing over there was that we started to realize what are the real challenges that customers are facing when they're trying to accomplish something. And then we were able to address those heads on. Friction points, things that, it just makes sense to fix or improve in the service. We went ahead and then started doing those on the AWS level.
I remember when we did the SSM stuff for CrowdStrike. And we were the first cloud provider to do that, and customers were like so over the moon when they
did
could
it in
do.
like it was like a few hours into it. We started to have
It was a few hours,
crazy.
and
Yeah.
we can talk about that experience all day long. But I think it was a blessing for people who could log in at least to their laptops. Like if you couldn't log in, there was nothing much you could do about it. But if you already logged in, that SSM document, customers could deploy it on their EC2 instances. Even SSM had an on-prem node that you could do that. Like, good. I can't discuss that more. But you mentioned one key thing. I hear about customers a lot about knowledge. We have a lot of it. Historically, we've relied on humans to have the knowledge, right? When humans, I have a terrible handwriting, but when I do end up typing things between SharePoint, Quip, email, Slack, my knowledge is distributed everywhere.
I think the
Right?
comments won't even know what Quip is.
Yeah.
If you keep that memory, keep it for 6 more months, I think they're gonna go away because they're deprecating it. So, but let's talk a little bit about like how we have, we had a lot of knowledge articles. I have written a lot of knowledge articles in our legacy system where you handwrite articles and publish it, right? Um, let's talk a little bit about this workflow automation, like knowledge, SOPs, and how we have solved that problem. So, um, here on the screen, you can see our historic SSM knowledge documents and SOPs, how they look like, but these are unstructured. And on the right, you see a structured SOP. But how does our journey look like to go from here to there? And then I'll keep moving the slides so you can talk to all the components of innovation we have done here.
Hey, thanks, Saurabh. So for a specific type of AWS service, there can be 10,000 root causes, and these things really scale, right? They can be a set of symptoms that occur. And then for the most common types, you can actually figure out, hey, here's the steps to figure out what the problem is, and here's how to root causes. So these steps often are run books or playbooks across organizations, and AWS was no different. We had lots of run books and playbooks for our services and TOPS issues, examples shown on the left. But then for LLMs to really shine, having some structure to this, especially for having safer actions for agentic use cases, some structure is needed here. So what you see on the side is, especially when it comes to tools, having that structure, explaining what the tool is, when it should be used, that context is what led to us to move from our unstructured SOPs or playbooks to more structured ones. And you can also you can see how this is also like Anthropic skills format or like Hero Powers. But the more specific thing is, especially with tool calling, that there is more specificity there. Otherwise, things get a little, you can have incorrect tool calling, which can then lead to loops or less accurate results or increased latency in the case of loops. So we knew we needed to have this high quality knowledge. First was ensuring that we could extract it from the right sources, fill any gaps with our experts. So we built this authoring platform where people could just come and build it. And then the cooler thing was that they could actually try it out. So it would allow these experts that we have who have helped customers with AWS for so long, or are building AWS services, and then they would go through this UI essentially to validate their approach, and then actually have it tested in real AWS environments, these test AWS environments, to ensure that the procedures that they were writing in the SOP actually led to the correct output. And that's what this workflow conversion is. And then these would become available to agents via MCP.
I think the challenge too is always like we always think that knowledge is something that's quantified and is in one bucket that you can always give it to LLM and say go execute. But when you have to do it at the scale that we operate, you realize that even before you touch an LLM, you need to have a structured, verified, auditable knowledge system that is able to provide LLM the right guidance and let it decide which tools they have to use or which agentic system they have to use. I think that's a key learning that an experience that we have gained. And a lot of customers may not even see it, right? When you go and you try to ask question to an AI support assistant and you get the right answer and you get excited, all of the innovation between how did it find out the right SOP or the knowledge to provide you with the right answer is all of that is underneath the innovation that we have built. All right. So that's good. What about cases where we don't have a knowledge, or the cases are complex where it's not a binary answer like my bill went up, can you tell me why? But the question is my analytics workload didn't work. Now that could be 100 causes of that. So what innovation have we done in that scenario?
You're right, Saurabh. And so something like my glue job is stuck, or even I can't establish high performance connectivity between point A and point B. There's so many symptoms and root causes that map and intermediate steps that come in. So for that, what we did is we did use the data sources available to us from all our knowledge and experience of helping customers for decades now at this point, and also just internally operating these services. We use this to create these data structures that really took the symptom all the way to the root cause. There are clarification points in between, but we can figure out what's needed to deal with that ambiguity at each step with the right tool calls, as I was mentioning earlier. So we built a system that is able to extract from our corpus of data uh, and, and establish these data structures. So when I say data structures, what we started with was a graph, which makes total logical sense because of causal inference and a lot of other goodies. But we also have tried other data structures that have had um, good success. So what the key thing though is that for each of these clarification points, the right tool integration is there. So for example, if I say my glue job is stuff, I can actually describe the glue job and then get that data for that specific customer. Now, whenever these sort of models are used, it's not using any sort of customer data. This is all based on the general AWS approach to solve the problem. However,
Yeah, Tipu, we have a quick question for someone saying, how safe is the proprietary data?
yes, no. So, and this is what I'm getting towards, which is that the data used for these data structures that are about troubleshooting or about going from one symptom to one root cause don't have any customer data. They don't have any like proprietary data in that sense, but they do have the AWS knowledge of how to solve a problem, how we solved the problem in the past. And then the tool calls are what actually get that extra layer of personalization then that explain, hey, these are the glue jobs for this customer in this glue example. And then these are the specific logs that are explaining what's going wrong. And then, it could be caused by different issues like memory. So how safe is proprietary data? If you're talking about our customer data, it is extremely safe. We handle that with the top priority, the topmost priority at that point. But I think that's having those safeguards in between as we build these systems is absolutely critical, and that's something that we always take care of in AWS.
Yeah, I think just to double click, like even in today, forget about AI or anything. Like even since the time I've been here, 12 years now, we have never been able to access any customer data. It's always, even back in the day when it was forums, like if customer, I think our system actually scrubs out if customer accidentally puts anything that is their data. We have a system between before I can look at a case, the system already scrubs out any information, and that includes, I think, if they include like their phone number or their personal information or anything about that would identify their application. Now, tags and resource names and ARNs, all those are fair game because they are metadata about AWS. But and I think later we're going to talk about some of the guardrails that we have in the system as well. So, people, all good. Uh, let's talk quickly about like if customers want to build it themselves, the approach that they could take about and how the approach that we took.
Yeah. So the general approach is you have your now at this point agentic AI systems that can connect with your knowledge sources, and the knowledge sources can be in a RAG or a graph RAG. This is once again where we do have to be careful to ensure that the data has been validated, has been refined, and then the next step after that is the general data. If you need faster retrieval, then we get into fine tuning through various techniques. So, for example, I'll give you a very concrete one. If we are finding out that we need to call this very specific tools to solve a problem, then that tool calling can be used to fine tune a model, and that can lead to much faster results rather than traversing through a graph or trying to do various different things.
Awesome. I know we only had Tipu for some of the time, right? So
yeah. So Tipu, any last words or anything? Or sorry, you're queuing it up.
I was just going to ask, like, so I know a methodology, agents of agents, orchestration, super agent, sub agent, child agent, but if customers want to understand how we are managing it, but also they want to deploy something of their own, what would be, based on how we are doing it, what would you like to share with them?
I think, once again, there are experts and people that you have, ensuring that they are, you have the right routing systems to ensure that you're leveraging AI as much as possible to help those people, but that they can steer and direct these AI agents and technology to quickly solve customer problems, where customers can solve it themselves, allow them to self-access and steer as well. But these agentic systems that have complete context, evaluations, and tools available to them can really change the game.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Tipu.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Tipu.
Tipu.
So I
Okay.
think it's been the.
I
I
have
just
two
would.
quick questions, Saurabh.
Okay, good. Let's go.
Well, one is not a question, one's a comment. The first comment is, it is sad if cannot able access customer data, which no, we don't want to access customer data at all.
It is sad that we can't access customer data. It is sadder you end up in prison. So I'll take the sad over that.
And then they also asked, what is graph RAG?
So RAG in general is a retrieval augmentation generation technologies that basically you want to provide inline context to LLM. So, a large language model is trained on some foundational data. That's why they are limited in their knowledge because you train them up to a certain amount and then you fine tune them, then you publish them. Any of the models that you see today. So to catch up on the knowledge or to make the LLM more contextual about your use cases, you can attach a RAG to it. A graph RAG is just a graph-based data structure that you use for the RAG. So you can have multiple linked nodes and you can create relationships. So RAG can come in many formats. So a lot of people can do text-based RAG. You can just upload a PDF. You can point it to S3 bucket, do an object-based RAG. And then, in this scenario that people were explaining, to identify where to go in troubleshooting, you need connected nodes together. So our approach is use a RAG-based model where different components of coming to a common root cause are connected together. So as you are going down a path of troubleshooting, you are not going down a straight line, but you're kind of going down a tree with multiple nodes, multiple branches, and then you are leading investigation in multiple layers. That's what he was explaining in the previous one. Kind of a pretty cool innovation that we have done in support, and that's where we use graph RAG. Hope that answers. So I'll pick up where he left. We should do a deeper session with Tipu, and I'm actually he's meeting with customers, so I was like, you should spend some time here, and then we'll have him back. But this model is what I see with customers a lot as well, where is there a single agent? Is there multiple agents? How should I think about it? The approach that we have taken is we have kind of realized that micro agents, or the term micro agent, it basically means you focus on an agent's capability in a very, very limited, narrow focus, and they're good at it. And you make them kind of specialist deep agents because in our case, like we have more than 150 services, and many of those services have different modes that might need troubleshooting. So we use that model to create an agent architecture where we have specialized agent that are micro agent that are good at EC2, EKS, or components of EC2, and then we use these super agents that are good at orchestrating, but are also good at routing and taking the output, calling these sub agents or sub tools, taking the output, and then we have layers of these orchestration that eventually make it to a response. Because one of the challenges with LLMs or large language models today is context, right? You can give them all the data in the world, and it will just be a very, very expensive query. So chopping off your problem into multiple micro agents makes it easy for us to process and give faster and accurate responses back to our customers. That's the model that we have used in our support troubleshooting. And we are continuously evolving as new technologies come, new context windows come. We kind of look at where we need to invest in orchestration versus creating further sub micro agents as well.
So at that moment, I just want to take a quick pause for folks that are just joining us, because as people are coming off stream, Sarah's been talking about how we've been thinking about the evolution of support. So we're digging into how we're actually implementing some of this AI augmented case orchestration or case help within AWS. And Toxic Head TV was saying, is this the way that we're doing? Is you have a root agent or a super agent, a sub agent, and then like a task agent, Sarah?
Absolutely, yeah. So, and you could have multiple sub-agents branching out of each of those arrows that you have, but that mental model is certain. And it may change from use case to use case, but yeah, you have a supervisor agent, and then you have these branches that go to sub-agent, and then further sub-agent, like a tree-like structure.
Makes sense.
Right. Okay, so a couple of things that Tipo couldn't cover, so I'll cover on his behalf. I try to do as good as a job as he would have done. But I think earlier we were talking about one of the challenges with using AI, particularly for support where you're dealing with customers, right? Is how do I know that I'm not either hallucinating or providing wrong information or actually validating what I'm saying, right? And we are seeing a lot of new concepts coming up. There's a LLM as a judge concept now, where you take a bunch of LLMs and whatever answer you have AI generated, you pass it on to those LLMs and say, as a judge, tell me if this is right or wrong. The approach that we have taken, because we use AWS Bedrock as our foundation service to do any kind of foundational model access, we use automated reasoning checks, which is a native capability in Bedrock, to kind of make sure that any response that we get are aligned with our automated reasoning policy. So though we are using AI for uh, providing responses to support, providing root causes, we are also using automated reasoning check to make sure that the response itself is protected, it's not hallucinated, but also it's not inaccurate. Also, it does not kind of breach any of the reasoning guidelines that we have, the guardrails that we have put in before we surface it to the customers, right? So we would rather tell customer that, hey, I need more information, or I need to pull a human in here, where human in the loop can come in and support a support engineer, versus directly exposing AI responses. So we use that. That's another innovation that we have under the hooks. Customers who are interacting with our AI in any format would either get an accurate response and or the AI would basically defer to a human at that point if it's too complex or it lacks context. What we have noticed, handling a lot of these questions over the last year and a half is oftentimes AI is pretty good when it has a lot of context about what it's about to work on. I'll share that later as well in some of the how we have built unified operations around. But we want to make sure we can plug in a human when AI needs help, and it's like, oh, I don't have all the information. I don't want to come up with pseudo information on behalf of AWS support. So I would rather bring a human in who can ask you more pointed questions to get that information.
I got a
We have
couple
one.
comments. Yeah, go ahead, Samara.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna bring one question from the audience. Would the MCP be the source documents? It's what Erie would like to
I think
know.
we're querying Bedrock directly, right? Or is it through an MCP somewhere?
No, Bedrock is a foundational AWS service. An MCP is in the middle where we use different MCPs to point to backend tools, right? So our source document, which we call support knowledge, right? So there's a public MCP called AWS documentation, which is our public available documentation. It has an MCP server. We do use it. I think that's what Easy Edits is asking. So we have an MCP for the source documents. But then we also have an MCP that we have for internal our support operating procedures that Tipu was talking about earlier, right? So MCP is just a vehicle to communicate with LLM by providing it more context, right? It's like, okay, I need a glass of water. So it understands what a glass is, what a water is, it can give you both. So it understands I have to go to the tap, that's my tool, get the water, give it back, sort of thing. So we do use that vehicle a lot to communicate with the backend tools, either trigger the tools or get more information or context.
Yep. Thanks
Great.
for the explanation. He said, I see. Thanks.
No more questions. So I think if I have to wrap up the journey on how we have kind of managed in AWS support, what we have done is, early 2024, I think a lot of us were very excited about ChatGPT, and what they were was, and we still are, they are very AI assistants. So you have an assistant that is smart, has a lot of world knowledge, and you can chat with it. It can help you give information, right? So on support side, we put all of our text-based SOPs, put that in there, and engineers can chat with the chatbot. This is early 2024. They could ask. We use Q Business. They could go and ask with that chatbot and say, "Hey, I have a EC2 question about Transit Gateway," and it will do a text-based semantic search and give a response. Right at that point, it's an assistant. As a human, you have to do the response. You have to choose to use it, choose part of it. Doesn't matter. The AI assistant's job is to assist you. And then we moved into this journey called AI augmentation, where we kind of put AI led with human in the loop. That's where we are, where with automated SOPs that we have built, where when a case comes in, we can auto detect the intent of the case, and we can then see which SOP would be relevant and surface that to the engineer. So at that point, the engineer is not the one triggering AI. AI is the one triggering engineer and saying, hey, look at this SOP based on the question that the customer is asking or the pain the customer is in. This looks like the most fit and applicable. You are the one who has to act on it. Today, since reinvent, I would say, but the industry is moving more towards autonomous AI. I think we are going to do a session later on DevOps agent, which we launch, or
Mhm.
security agent, where these agents can actually now act autonomously. So you just say, you just set up a CloudWatch or Grafana dashboard, and the agent can kick in, look at all of your telemetry, and give you. I don't want to give all of the fun away, but autonomous AI is where it gets super exciting, where AI can actually act on your behalf and kind of show you like all the work is done. Here's what I find out, and here's the solution. Go do it, right?
Saurabh, I
And
have
what
a
is
little bit of a spicy question for you.
all right? What is
Uh,
the question?
the question is, was this implemented during the US East outage last year?
So actually, that's a great question, by the way. The I think so from a support lens, we get a lot of questions from customers around when there are events that impact all of them, right? They want to get information faster. They want to get up to date information. The most amount of questions we get is, "Oh, should I fail over?" Right?
Mhm.
Or is my service impacted? And we are actually actively looking at from support with services like AWS Health, services like Support Assistant, what can we do to help customers when those scenarios happen, right? So uh, when customers were calling us in that during that US East issue, actually we should double click on which particular issue in US East, but let's pick one. So when they were calling us about it, we want to make sure our case management system is able to detect who you are as a customer, which service do you use, is that service impacted, so we can give you a response back in an automated way. Like last thing you want is when you are in pain and you are trying to make a decision, the last thing you want is I'm waiting in a long queue, or
Mhm.
I submitted a ticket, I'm waiting for somebody to comment on it, right? And I think those are the places we are seeing how can we serve our customers better? How can we use AI to give them most up to date, accurate, contextual, and relevant information?
Great. I know we're close to the 15-minute mark, but I know you're towards the end of this section.
Right. So I'll so a couple of things we have looked at in what does success look for us, right? So a few things we look at is prevention. Are we helping customers where they are contacting us less? Like, in being a support business, that looks like, oh, why would you say that? Like, you are there because they're contacting you, but that's not how we think about it. Like, if a customers are able to self-serve or are able to prevent issues from happening, we see that as a win on ourselves, right? When they do contact us, we see, are we able to fully automate their experience? Are we able to give them the right, relevant, contextual answers without having a human in, and kind of, and that we are talking like milliseconds to minutes at that point, depending on the complexity. That's the experience that we strive for. And does it save the time for them engaging with us? And because human, as soon as we involve a human, the time kind of goes up, right? Because we are human as have been trained over the last centuries and centuries that we have to read the problem and we have to analyze it and we have an opinion about it and we have to look at different things. AI can do all of that much faster. If we can make it smart, we can make it very, very contextual, we can make it very, very narrow scoped and relevant to the customer. I think we can do a lot of good. Now, I didn't want to leave the screenshot. So if you are, all our viewers, if you are a paying AWS customer, if you go to your AWS console, either you see this experience today, or I think you might be seeing there's a pop-up on the top to say, go to the new AI experience. I want you to try it and give us honest feedback if you like it or not. But that is what I've been talking about, where we have now an AI first experience in Support Center where you can put your questions, it knows who you are, it knows about your resources, metadata that it has access to, and it can give you a lot of good contextual responses. And that could save you time creating a case and then waiting on a human to reply back. And you may end up getting the same answer. But in the last 15 minutes, I do want to cover, you saw all the technology we have invested in, you saw all the, capabilities that we have built, but what does it mean for our customers, right? One of the things we take pride in Amazon is we work backward from customer. I honestly mean it because, when some of the changes we made last year, we could have easily kind of stayed where we were and still have used all of the AI and be in a good spot. But we took it to heart that our customers want us to do different. They want near zero downtime. So customers today versus customers 10 years ago are very, very different. Customers today are running their core business applications on AWS, applications without which their business wouldn't survive, right? They want business continuity. They want not for us to tell them when to fail over. They want to co-partner on the scenarios where they should be failing over, co-build the failover architecture, and then help us guide them how they should be thinking about it. So they don't see support or AWS support as where this is where my boundary ends, this is where your boundary starts. Only keep listening on that side of the wall. I will call you or I will reach out when I have issues. I've been in support for almost all of my career. I used to do sysadmin work and I had a DevOps job before it was called DevOps. And I'll tell you, support has always been like, oh, we work off the tickets. Basically, there's an issue, a ticket will be submitted, you work on that. And I think with cloud and AWS in general, when you take Amazon's mindset of how we build things, put it into AWS support becomes more than that. It's not about I'm keeping my ear open to hear from you. It is like I want to be in the conversation from the beginning. I'll stay quiet if I don't have any valuable input, but I want to capture as much context I can as you're thinking about building it, right? And at the crux of it is system resilience. We want to help you make your systems resilient. The resilient systems are the ones that either inhale the impact or don't get impacted at all. And we want our customers again to prevent it from happening. We're not in the business, which is very unconventional for support to say. We're not in the business when our customers call us and say something is broken. We are more happy if customers say something was broken, we failed over, something came back, we failed back, we are happy, let's go have drinks. You're much more happy with that conversation versus, oh, something is broken. I need you and three bosses above you on the call right now to tell you how upset I am, right? So we also learned over the last decade, right? Issues are much, much easier and cheaper when you fix them early in the cycle than when you are in production, right? So that multi-AZ move or database replica move that you have been saying, oh, I'll do it after go live, it's going to be much more expensive to do than to just do it when you're in dev or when you're in UAT, right? But I get it. Totally, customers have priority. That's why they need people who are looking out for them, who are watching for them, and kind of tell them, here's a failure mode that you didn't cover, or here's a failure mode that I would love to spend time with you and help you fix it. If you have constraints around resourcing, cost, let's agree on a path to do it. But I do want to do it because, it's never going to be where it's in production and then something happens and then we are discussing about it like, oh, could have solved it 6 months ago, and now it's a big issue because now we're in production and this was such a small thing. The one thing we say a lot is we shift left, which is we want to help customers shift left of that wall where they have to call us, right? Be more proactive, partner with them to detect issues before they impact, proactively build resilient architectures, use AI as much as possible, use it as a tool to do all the muck, do all the grunt work, all the pieces where humans are basically being more laborious than actually intelligent and analytical, and get you right experts who can actually help you solve problems. So this scene went. We launched more proactive and intelligent reimagined AWS support. We gone beyond the table stakes. We have fast response time, expert guidance, and we launched a whole new tier called Unified Operations. And I'll love to dig deep, take a couple of minutes. And I think if I'm on time, I might be able to squeeze in a demo as well if I can wrap everything up in the next
Poor
5
Mo
minutes.
in our
Which,
virtual green room.
yeah, I'm
Really
gonna.
quick, I just
I
want to
do want
tackle
to.
some of these comments. I just want to say hi to Victor. Victor,
Hi, Victor.
Toxic Head TV said, "Stop investing in too many things in a short span of time. It is very hard to keep up. That's why we're here to help you keep up with it." And then Mike P. Funk says, "This reminds me of the book, The Phoenix Project. I'll have to check that out." I'm sorry if you know that book at all.
And we also
Nothing at
have
all.
something that says the cost of having to take care of something after the fact is exponential. So, yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what the Phoenix Project is and the condo. Like there are many things where we have taken care of things after the impact happened, though it was in the mind all the time. But yeah, as humans, we have the capability to do that, right? So coming back to unified operations, whole new tier. Everybody on the we put a lot of AI, we put a lot of humans together. We are partnering with our customers with this tier. We co analyze your workloads, and make sure we have a right path that's agreed upon with experts on customer side and experts on AWS side. From resilience to performance to cost, we're gonna take care of everything, partnering with the customers. Now, we also invest from our side. So it's not going to be the same team. We have, if you use certain services a lot more than others, we're going to pull AWS experts who have access to those services and have been managing customers on those services for a long time and put them on you in a designated fashion. So that not only they help you when you have issues, but they continuously learn about your use of those services. And as they learn about the use of those services, they also tell you how you can improve them. So not only you are getting the knowledge from this particular individual, they're also getting the knowledge that they have from all the other customers that they have handled in the past, and they continue to get knowledge from their peers. You continually get that. So that's something that we are investing in customers that are on the support tier. Um, we monitor your we set up and monitor your critical, I want to call it KPIs, key performance indicators, but alarms and metrics that tell us preemptively something is about to go down so that we can actually pull right people in, get an incident war room. Our primary motive is to make sure nothing ever happens, and we do such a good job proactively. But if something does happen, which is always the case, we how fast we can react and resolve it. We want to have playbooks that we co-author with you on, in this scenario, what's our path forward? In this scenario, what our path forward? And then let AI do the initial troubleshooting. We are building agents. We have some agents that are out there that can actually analyze these playbooks and take action and tell you, oh, I looked at all those other microservices. They all are performing at their baseline. So I think the issue might be this particular service because this seems to be unresponsive. So something that humans could have done and might have taken them 30 minutes just because you need to call people on the call. They need to, put water in their eyes, wake up, start looking at things. AI can do all of that very quickly. How do we take advantage of that, right? But besides that, I do want to point. We also removed our developer and business support, and we launched Business Plus. Business Plus is where for $29 a month you get access to AI first, and if you want to engage a human, you can do that. Versus if you look at the same cost previously, and how this is beneficial for customers. At the same cost previously, you had developer support where you could only submit a case and get a response in 24 hours in a business day. So not only we are using AI, but we are betting on it that it's so good and it's going to help our customers that we have reduced the cost of a support plan as well. Because we know that this AI first tier is going to help you get more contextual relevant answers. And yes, you would not be engaging with humans a lot because you'll be getting all the answers you need. But based on your workload and your cloud cycle, you find out where you land, right? You're in Business Plus, or you have mission critical workloads that your business depends on. You gotta be on enterprise support. Or if you're running mission critical workloads and your entire business depends on it, and you'll call your CEO if that workload is down. You definitely need unified operations. You need all hands on deck, and you need everybody working in your favor. So we reimagined our support tier for that same reason. Um, Here are some of the things we do through those support tiers. I'm going to keep the slide here, but I'll ask Mo to get ready. I'm going to call him in the next, maybe next minute, because I do want you all to see a demo that we have built for how this works. We took a critical trading app. If you trade in stock or are aware of things like stock, the whole US market kind of depends on it, right? So we want to show you a demo that we have built of a trading app and how we help you build the resilience around it and what happens when it does fail. My last slide will be context. Um, AI is going to be as good as the context that feeds into it. And you cannot all the time have a notepad that has all of your context and copy paste that into AI. That's not how it works. Every time I talk to my customers, I'm gaining new information. They're telling me something new. We are investing in a context service that we manage on support side that is dynamically pulling context from AWS services based on how you use it. But on top of that, it's also pulling in conversations that people like Matt and me who are TAMs. As we talk to customers, I have the ability to say, customers just told me about this migration that's coming up in 6 months. I'm going to make sure that the context service is aware of that. Now, once we feed into the context, next time you connect with us and you ask about an application, and I know that my TAM told me about that application and migration coming up, I know the severity and the priority of your question. The AI can be so much richer and so much actionable because it has the context that has been shared with it. So we have invested in building this. All the support tiers, enterprise, UOps have access to it. Of course, the richer the context, the better it is. The more people you have from AWS partnering with you, working with you, the richer the context gets.
And then with that, we'll bring on Mo. So give us 1 sec.
All right. I'm happy to take any questions that might be there while we wait for Mo.
We don't have a question. We do have a comment, which is, it amazes me what AI can do, but then it also amazes me what AI can miss. And that's why the context is key. That's what Sarah was talking about.
Very well said. And I think, it's no different than like, there's so much more we can do with AI. And I agree with the commenter that we got to focus on the things that it's missing, how we can improve it and
So
make it
Mo,
more and more intelligent.
welcome back to the show. We've
Welcome
got
back,
about
Mo.
4 or 5 minutes to. I know
Yeah,
we
I
said
know.
we were going to give you 5 minutes. That's what you're getting.
More like 3 minutes. Okay, I'll try to go quick.
I'll work with our producers in the back, see if we can get a couple minutes extra.
Okay, is my screen shared? Does everyone see
Yep,
my screen?
we can see your screen, Mo.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, hi everyone. This is Mo. I'm a senior technical account manager with AWS. Let's talk quickly. So what I wanted to do in this demo, Saurabh mentioned equity trade matching and settlement system. So this is quick architecture. So we have this workload actually built and deployed to AWS. It's multi-region. Latency requirement that meet all the regulatory requirements for based on the US standards. Again, this is basically what we're going to do in a little bit. I'm going to actually show another flow here just for everyone to understand. So trades are coming in. We're going to in a bit generate trades. These equity trades were going to get processed by our Amazon ECS system. And there's different stages of processing. And then when those trades they settle, we commit them, we track all their statuses in our databases, and all those they get replicated to another region. So this is all good. Now the question is, how do we support such a complex system and ensure that our customers don't fail? This is where we talk about unified operations. So one of the important things that unified operation provides in terms of capability, then Saurabh hit on, is proactive guidance, doing all the critical workload reviews, drive resiliency. Observability is a very critical thing. And here I want to show you a CloudWatch observability dashboard. So this is something we help our customer build. We identify the right metrics, whether they're business metrics, infra metrics, service metrics, and we build a comprehensive dashboard, single pane of glass for our customers so that anytime an issue occurs, whether it's infra or bad deployment, we basically trigger an alarm, and these alarms are integrated with what we call our IDR team, the incident detection and response team. And within 5 minutes, that's the other capability of UOps, it's the rapid incident response. So within 5 minutes, we react, we engage our customer on a call, on a support case, and we build, most important, we bring the experts that have context on the customer's workload and the expertise to help them expedite the resolution. So if we have time, I'm going to start generating some data. So this is a dashboard that we built for the demo. We can generate trades. And you see here that basically we're tracking the statuses of the trades. So when everything is working fine. Yep. So it will take a second to refresh. But yeah, so you have 100 trades here, 10 trades per second, and they're getting processed. So when everything is working fine, everything is performing as expected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our FIS fault injection service, and I'm going to introduce some faults, some gray failures, CPU and network latency. So let's do that. Start experiment. So what's going to happen is that in a minute, alarm should go off, and I should get notified. I'm acting as the incident event manager on AWS side. And I should get notified by page and also an email, and then I engage the customer. So again, this is for the demo purpose.
Wait, is this going to actually page you live?
Yes. I don't know if you're going to hear my phone page.
Okay.
I think we will hear
we
it,
would,
probably.
we will, yes. So think of Mo as UOps right now.
Yes,
UOps.
correct.
He is both the customer running the app, and then Mo in the chair is UOps.
Yeah, so I'm running another experiment to introduce latency to our ECS component, which is backed by EC2 instances. Okay, almost there. I'm introducing those actually faults in different AZs as you see here. So
Mo, while you're doing that, I'm gonna do the wrap up beforehand, so that we can give you the time for this to alarm. So, folks, you covered a lot here. We're going like a minute over just because we really want to show the results of Mo's testing. But this is just an overview of unified operations. Sarab and TP spent a lot of time today just giving you the thought process of how we work backwards and how we've built some of the reimagined support tiers. We're going to be diving deep into each of these topics from now until the end of March. So please stick around. Please keep tuning in. We're going to be updating awstechtails.com with the full agenda for all of quarter 1. And we hope you check it out. But in the meantime, I'll hand it back to Mo to show us
I just
what's
need a
going
minute.
on. Yeah,
so,
of course.
Go for it.
The experiments are running, right? So one thing we can notice, and we build this dashboard, the application dashboard, purposely so that we can detect the slowdown. So what I did, I introduced some failures that cripple the system, downgraded. It doesn't completely kill the system. So that's why I mentioned CPU spikes and network latencies. So if you look here, the trade volume is still coming in, 1,100, 1,400, but you start seeing the inbound gateway, for example, here is 1,200, so it's starting to lag behind. And then we have some metric that basically calculate the cost or the dollar value that is costing the customer when their system is degraded. And you can see that there is a buildup in the queue because the messages are not getting processed quick enough. So now you're going to start seeing that the queue is building up. And the more the system run, the more the system is having, the AZs are having issues, the availability zones, the more the gap widens. And as you see here, the dollar value, which are losses for the customer because the system is not performing expectedly, this goes up. Now, if I go to my CloudWatch, in a minute, I'm hoping that this will start turning red and I get notified. So let's wait for it. And you see here, by the way, the CPU 44%.
You'll see that increase there.
And the point of that notification, folks, is that AWS is plugged into your application as the context on this application knows that if this alarm goes off that pages them in, then not only are they getting into a troubleshooting bridge with you in 5 minutes, but that they understand that you're having lags in processing your trades. You don't have to tell them that. They'll already know.
Yeah, and you don't have to come in and explain the issue. Everybody is already aware of the issue, and then there's
the red
of what your
business
is.
Yeah, the first alarm, this is the queue size, which actually, if you remember here, that was the queue buildup. So we alert, think about it as one of many metrics, because there's many metrics around infra services and business metrics. So I'm expecting my page to go off any second now. But again, the fact that the alarm went off, that's the important thing.
Sarb, any closing thoughts that you have before we wrap up while we're waiting for this page? As soon as that page goes off, I'm shutting down the stream.
There you go.
Okay. And then one last question is, why don't you resolve issue with backup system instead of notifying support team? Why not do both? That's even if you want to fail over, I think you want support to help you as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying Mo doesn't pay for unified operations. That's why. So Mo only gets the page. But I think this is a demo we want to show you that in this case, Mo was playing the role of an incident engineer, but the TAM or your account team would work with you and make sure that some of these scenarios are captured ahead of the time. And when we do find something that impacts you and that actually does end up into a page, we make sure that same thing never happens again. That's our promise with unified operations as well. Just to wrap up, I'll say, we have done a lot of investments in AI. We'd love curious for your feedback. Please, if you are paying AWS support customers, try our AI tools. If you already have a TAM that works with you, partner with them. Also, we have a lot of ongoing betas in support that we would love to recruit customers for and get your feedback on that. So if you have an account team or a TAM, please contact them and let them know that you're interested in what beta the AWS support have. So they can contact us and we'll be happy to enroll you and get your feedback. Thank you for your time.
And with that, thank you all for joining today.
Thank you so much, everybody.